Well, folks, if you like GOHL hockey, you've come to the right podcast. Episode 27 of the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. I'm Gary Ray. Holy moly, talk about OT heroes. St. Catharines Falcons have forced a Game 7 in St. Catharines on Tuesday night with a thrilling 4-3 OT win last night in Fort Erie. We'll get into that one shortly. The Cambridge RedHawks sweep the Pelham Panthers and await either St. Catharines or Fort Erie, starting probably Saturday night in Cambridge. The Stratford Warriors are up 3-1 going into Game 5 tonight in Chatham. It's do or die from here on out for the Maroons. The Elmira Sugar Kings have staved off elimination with a thrilling 4-3 overtime win last night at the PRC in St. Mary's to force a Game 5 tonight in Elmira. And Dave Graff talks about the greatest sports comebacks in Chew on That. All that and more on the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
6 guys, 3 sports, no leash. This is the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. Football, hockey, and baseball the way it's meant to be. Loud, raw, and completely unfiltered.
Good morning, fellas. Happy Easter Sunday morning.
Morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you two fine-looking gentlemen?
See, Shaker's got Wayne to keep him company this morning.
Yeah, I'm live on location for the Alliance Minor Hockey Double B Championships. My son Carson's U13 team's in the final here at 9:30, and there's 2 other Stratford teams that are in the final, the U16s and the U12s. So hopefully it's a good day for Stratford Minor Hockey here in Brantford. I got the big guy Wayne behind me lifting the trophy. So
nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Love the backdrop. So there's dedication, folks. He could have taken Sunday off. We had to shoot it Sunday morning because of Chester and his boy Rhett are going to the Jays game with the Dodgers being in town, Rhett's favorite team. And then there's also, hopefully not, but there's a possibility the Warriors and Maroons could be playing tomorrow night in Game 6. So we had to shoot it here on Easter Sunday morning. But guys, let's get into it. My goodness, the East has just been absolute chaos. Let's start with the St. Catharines Falcons Fort Erie Meteors story. Schenker, you've been watching a lot of those games on Flow. Tell us about let's start with Game 6 last night in Fort Erie. The Falcons were in a do or die situation. What did you see in that game? Tell us about all the excitement that went on there in Fort Erie.
Well, just like every game, Fort Erie jumped out to a lead, and then they couldn't handle it. And then near the third period, I didn't see it, but apparently the St. Catharines goalie, Saranic, was knocking the net off. Referee gave a warning. Then the second time, they ended up giving Fort Erie that penalty shot with 30 seconds to go in the game, I think it was. Halsey, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 36 seconds. Danny Adamo tied her up.
So, and then St. Catharines scores to force overtime where St. Catharines end up winning. But like I said in the preview, this series would go 7. This series easily could have been over for 4 or 5 for both St. Catharines or Fort Erie. 4 out of the 6 games are 1-goal games with OT. St. Catharines have won all 3 of their games in overtime in this series, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
Fort Erie, Nicholson and O'Donnell, they've been the horses for them. Nicholson has 6 goals so far. O'Donnell has 10, which is wild. And for St. Catharines, it's Mustafi with 7 and Schonenbacher, he has 3 goals and 10 assists. So I wish this series was closer to us, and I'm I'm going to try to make every effort I can to get down to Game 7 there on Tuesday night, because this has been a great series. And it's a shame one of these two teams is going to be out after Tuesday.
You two guys called it. It's been one of the top series in the second round. Halser, what are your thoughts about these two teams going at it like the battle royale?
Well, I was watching part of it, standing at the PRC last night, watching part of the Fort Erie St. Catharines game. 2 goals in the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds for Fort Erie to tie that up. Pity Fort Erie when you think that they have yet to lose a game in regulation, and yet they are headed on the road for Game 7. So, I mean, if I recall, I called this series not only 7 games, but the winner would be in double overtime for the 6 games to OT. This is, exactly as it was built. 2 teams that don't like each other, 2 teams that seem to play each other every year in the playoffs, and the 2 teams that have represented the Niagara or the East Conference the last 2 years of the Sutherland Cup. So, once they're done beating the holy sweet Jesus hell out of each other, then they got to deal with Cambridge when they're done with that, because Cambridge has been sitting home and cooled for a few days now.
Yeah, just looking at the stats, starting with St. Catharines, you've got their star defenseman, Jordan Schanbacher. He's actually been updated now, Schenker, to 3 goals and 11 assists for 14 points. He's just playing lights out. Dylan Atkinson's second in scoring with 4 and 7 for 11. Then you got Mustafi with 10. He's got 7 goals, 3 assists. Trayson Dewar, he's got 4 and 6 for 10 points. And then looking over at the Meteors, Danny Adamo, holy moly, folks, 10 goals in 10 games, 17 points, like you said, Schenker. Sam Tonelli, second with 4 and 12 for 16 points. Dylan Greenwald has 5 and 10 for 15. And then you got Evan Nicholson with 6 and 4 for 10. Wow, you just can't get it any closer than that. It's a coin flip, and that just tells you how much parity is in this league. And 2 heavyweight teams duking it out, while you've got the Cambridge RedHawks sitting waiting to see who that they're going to play. And speaking of Cambridge RedHawks, Halser, you were talking to GM Kevin Purdy there at the Almond on Good Friday and had a good little conversation with him.
Yeah, they are, resting, getting healthy, and looking forward to getting started. They did everything that they needed to do against Pelham. A lot of us, myself primarily, thought that Pelham would really make a series of it, especially with the way that the goaltender Snyder's been playing. But it didn't seem to matter how well he was playing. You and I went up there last Saturday for Game 1, and Cambridge. The only time previously I'd seen Cambridge was in St. Mary's when they crapped the bed there and got pumped 9-1 by St. Mary's, and but this is a different team. They picked up Osler, the big defenseman, and to be honest with you, he looks like a beast out there. He's got a full beard. He looks like a senior hockey player out there, and he has been kind of in charge of keeping Pelham honest, because we knew what we were getting with Pelham. They're a team that led the league in penalty minutes in the regular season, and but also kept the puck out of their own net, top 5 in the go. But Cambridge just they pumped 5 past Snyder every single game they played. And so Kevin is really fired up about the possibilities for his team. He feels confident that they can reach the Sutherland Cup final and perhaps even win it. And it was nice to see him Friday night in Stratford for what was ultimately not much of a hockey game to watch, to be honest with you. We'll talk about that later on. But Cambridge is getting depth, they're getting scoring, and they're even getting points out of their goaltender. You and I saw Aiden Hill make a couple of incredible passes right up the middle of the ice to spring guys for breakaways. So they're firing on all cylinders, to coin the phrase right now, and they're prepared to go out. And I believe it is confirmed that the East Conference final will start Saturday in Cambridge.
Schenker, you didn't come down with us there to see the RedHawks live, but you've been watching them on Flow as well. What have you seen with them and Pelham in their series?
Do you think maybe Cambridge is playing with a little more grit and a little like a burr up their ass, knowing people have been talking about how they've had an easy schedule all year, they've had no competition, and then they just come out in this series and dominate a good defensive Pelham team. I'll be the first one to admit I'm shocked. I didn't think it was going to go 4. I thought Pelham's D and goaltending would steal them 1, maybe 2 games. But Bertuzzi has this Cambridge team in a pissed off mood, and they want to send a message saying, "Hey, we're not a shitty team with an easy schedule." And man, all 4 lines were scoring there in this series, and they made Pelham look bad.
Yeah, it wasn't nearly as close as we all thought it was going to be.
Nope.
We all had Cambridge picked. Just looking at the scores, Halser and I were down there for the 5-0 shutout with Aiden Hill. And then Balcar came in for the second game. Cambridge wins 5-3 in Pelham. Then Cambridge blows them out in game 3 back in the Galt Arena Gardens, 10-3. And then it's interesting to note, I didn't see it on Flow, but I've seen the highlights, and you two guys have as well. I found what was really interesting in Cambridge's clinching game. They win 7-4. It was 4-2 Pelham at one point.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Pelham regrets doing what they did, but there was a play that we saw on socials where the Pelham player went and took maybe some liberties on a Cambridge RedHawk behind the net. And that's where Wasselin came in, and he didn't want to have any part of that. So he went in and got into it. I can't remember who the Pelham player was, but he grabbed him, took him off his feet, and he just fed him. And that seemed to change the whole feeling of game 4. Pelham couldn't recover, and Cambridge went on their scoring spree and ended up turning a 4-2 Pelham lead into a 7-4 loss. So
yeah, the first goal of that comeback was a shorty for the extra penalty that Wasselin took there, to be honest. And so they were to Shanker's point, that just set them right off into a full froth. And like I said, they scored the shorty to make it 4-3. Then they tied it up, and they just basically blew the doors off of Pelham after that.
And it's kind of fitting, right? That fight was the knockout punch that eliminated Pelham. Like, that gave Cambridge all that momentum for that final third period there.
Yeah, they just look like a well-oiled machine. And I know we talked about it last week on the podcast, how they are a different team that came into the PRC back in November and got pumped by the Lincolns. Folks, this Cambridge team is ready, locked, and loaded. Todd Bertuzzi has these guys playing on all cylinders. And with them sweeping Pelham, they get the liberty of just being able to sit and rest any bumps and bruises while they wait for St. Catharines and Fort Erie to duke it out. And I'm sure both teams are playing with bumps and bruises with them while Cambridge watches that steadily. So what are your guys' thoughts on Game 7? Let's get some predictions for Game 7. I know you guys both have Fort Erie. Do you think it's going to be close like all the other ones? Do you think it's going to be a blowout? Shanker, I'll start with you.
3-1 Fort Erie.
3-1 Fort Erie. Well,
I feel like they should have won this series by now, and I like Fort Erie. I just like that O'Donnell. He's so good, and I believe they got the better goaltending of the two teams.
Halser, you've already picked Fort Erie in double overtime. What do you think it's going to be? A low-scoring game like the Lincolns and Sugar Kings have had? Or do you think it's going to be more high-scoring run and gun?
Well, I think it'll be tight. The thing to note that the only 2 games in regulation were in Fort Erie that Fort Erie won. And so all the other 3 games in St. Catharines, I believe, have gone to overtime or double overtime.
Yeah.
And so I don't really see any reason to change my outlook on it. I'm going to say 3-2 Fort Erie in the aforementioned double overtime. And let's just hope to God it's a 5-on-5 goal. Because, I mean, when you look back at this series, for between us, we've got, 150 years of watching hockey. Have you ever seen a series where there were 2 impactful goals scored on penalty shots, one in double overtime, another in the last minute of a 1-goal hockey game that tied it up. I've never seen anything like that in my life. And I'm not saying that to chirp referees. I'm just saying, let's make sure that we're sure when we're seeing fouls moving forward. The league has been doing a good job, I think, overall, officiating these playoffs. But the officials have been very impactful in this series. Sorry. So let's hope that that's all I hope for, is we make sure the players decide Game 7.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Halser, if we're going down there, I don't want double overtime.
Yeah, it's a school night, so we don't want to be getting home at 2 a.m. But I just don't. These guys don't seem to have any other way to settle these things. And
I agree.
So Shanker wants to go, but I'm afraid we're going to have to bring a tent, sleep at the rink. So shout out to both those teams, really. Fort Erie and St. Catharines. We haven't spoken to you guys much, but we are watching, and we'll be talking about this in the future, how we want to expand our coverage of the Go. But we have all the respect in the world for both of those organizations and their players and their coaching staff, and they're putting on a hell of a show in the Go this week.
Yeah, we can't wait to expand on it. We apologize for not being able to our first season to get more East coverage. We had a great talk, like we said before, with Kevin Purdy about expanding that East coverage. We've got some great ideas. All we need is your help and permission, folks. Another shout out to Elmira Sugar Kings, Corey McRae, London Nationals, Kelly Corpse, Kevin Purdy, Jason Clark, Dave Williams, Jeff Bradley, all
Brennan
these
Feezy
teams,
too. Yep.
Feezy, these guys have just been unbelievable, giving us access to them, and even now starting to trust us with their players, knowing that we only want to promote their team in the league. So shout out to all of these guys helping us, allow us to promote them. So,
and Falcons and Meteors organizations, if you're listening, reach out to us. We want to talk to you guys too.
Absolutely. We've got some exciting stuff in the works. Hopefully we can start in this year's playoffs, but Halser and I and Shanker have all been talking about making roadies down to the Niagara region starting next season so that we can see games, interview coaches, players, and just really do a good job with the GOHL in conjunction with everybody else in the league. So, but let's hear from a couple of our sponsors, and then we've got Buzzing with Clarko in the backgrounds, waiting with them. And so, Shanker, good luck with Carson's game this morning. We look forward to hearing how he made out, and we're going to bring you back later on in the show to get your final thoughts, brother.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good show, and knock it out of the park today, boys.
And don't forget, Shanker, it's left of the rink, right to the casino. Don't get that mixed up.
No, we're at the Wayne Gretzky Center. We're not at the Civic Arena. So
they must have known you were coming, huh?
Exactly. All right, guys, have a good show,
buddy. Take care. We'll see you, Shanker.
Bye.
All right, Halser, let's hear from our trending partners at Best Western Arden Park, and we're even going to hear from TNT as well before we bring in Clarky.
This trending segment brought to you by Best Western Plus Arden Park Hotel, located at 552 Ontario Street, Stratford, located steps from the Festival Theatre, while offering first-class accommodations with an extensive range of services, including conference center, banquet facilities, and heated indoor pool. Swing and a Miss, brought to you by TNT Security Inc., where security meets reliability. Call Todd Schmidt for a security quote for your concert, dance, sporting, and alcohol events, business, property, or mobile patrol security.
He's got the new logo. I love it.
Mailbag. Yes, guy. Stratford's finest. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Couple good hockey games this weekend.
Holy moly. If you're a hockey fan, you're
this
talking to the right podcast. So,
oh God, yeah. Especially in this area of the province. It's not getting much better.
It's been good. We were at the PRC there last night for OT, and then you guys are on the road tonight in Chatham. You got
Yes,
Halser following the Lincolns to Elmira, so great time to be a hockey fan, that's for sure.
Oh God, yeah. There's no shortage of things to do. There's not even enough nights, right? Like could have been over in Tabby last night too, watching that series start. And
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a great. It's a great time, and again, it's the fans in this area of the province, and especially Perth County, are treated to another great season of hockey here.
Yeah. Another shout out to a good turnout in St. Mary's last night. I saw on the website there was over 1,200 at the PRC there last night. I think the 50-50 was like 1,700 or 1,800.
Almost 1,800, yeah.
Yeah. So good stuff. Well, my goodness, Clarky, just the way we all predicted, right? Stratford up 3-1 in the series.
Yeah, I remember
that. Other than you and I, everybody else had Chatham picked, and this is no knock to Chatham and Brendan Feasy and their group, but I talked to a few people that said he was very upset and told the boys, get on the bus in 5 minutes or you're walking home after game 4. So they're upset, and they should be, right? This is not a position that they're used to, and let's face it, this series is far from over. But kind of take us through what you've seen in the first 4 games, Clarky.
Yeah, I think I've seen kind of maybe not result-wise what I expected, but game tightness of what I expected. I mean, Friday night, got away from them early, and I would chalk that one up to kind of, that game that they had here in Stratford a few months back when they were all over us early and often, and the score just got too spread out. But games 1, 2, and 3, you're not going to see closer games than that. And it was just like our game 50 and the 3 previous ones we had in the regular season that all went to overtime, right? Mm-hmm. I see 2 teams that have 2 completely different styles, but when we combine for a game, very, very tight hockey games. So there's not much either way, and you'll see a team will spring loose for an opportunity, and then it's, down to DeBlassie or Bender to save the day. And I think, I expect the same thing tonight in Chatham. And, the series continues, like you said. I mean, we're in a great spot, but we were in the exact same spot against London. And,
right.
We had to win game 7. So, I would love to say that it's going to be done before 7 games, but that's a powerful team, and we have a ton of respect for them. So we just have to keep doing the things that we're doing and give us ourselves a chance to win each night, and then, take our shots. So, but what I've seen is kind of a continuation of last year too. There was a bit of hate in the series, nothing crazy or dirty, but you can tell the boys don't like each other, and they're gumming each other. And after every whistle, there's a face wash, and it's real playoff hockey. It's 2 great hockey teams, I think, and I think we're playing as we expect to play right now, kind of like how we were playing in November-ish when we went on a bit of a run. Like, I just think we're consistent every night, and our guys work so hard, and we're able to frustrate some teams. And, if we take the foot off the gas at all and we give those Chatham guys any room to dance, we're in trouble. That story hasn't changed. So I think if we just continue to play the way that we play and be tough to play against and good defensively, then we're in a good spot to battle, and we have a chance to win.
Yeah, those first 3 games, Chatham was out 2 of their top scorers, in Dylan Richter and
Chadwick.
And so they were back for game 4, made a big difference. Unfortunately, they couldn't get on the score sheet as much as they would have liked to, but I just quickly wanted to talk about that fight with Kuchar and Marshall. I watched it on the 519, and it was down at our end, and I thought that the boarding was more vicious when I saw it live. When I watched the 519 highlights, I could see that Dom was turning to his left towards the boards, and it wasn't really it wasn't at all like Kuchar. It wasn't like a vicious where he hunted him down and boarded Dom into the boards. Dom turned on a dime, and Kuchar hit him knocks Dom into the boards. It's definitely, hitting from behind, boarding, whatever they wanted to call it. Both Kuchar and Dom dropped their gloves, and for Dom to get an instigator, like he's out for tonight, is he not?
Yeah.
And so I don't make any sense of that, because Kuchar created the situation, Dom responded, and Kuchar took him on. Like, it wasn't like as if Kuchar didn't want to fight. They both had their gloves off, and it is what it is, right? No matter what any of us say is going to change anything. But I was just glad that I could watch the 519 highlights, because it was not a vicious intent to injure by Kuchar. It was like just a bang bang play with Dom turning close to the boards, and Kuchar's momentum drove him into Dom, and so it wasn't vicious by any stretch.
I think you just said that it is what it is, and we have to battle back from that and fill Dom's spot tonight, and we will do that. I mean, he's been playing fantastic hockey for us, and
yes, he has.
He's going to be a big miss with all his hustle and hard work and physicalness tonight, but it's an opportunity for someone else to stand in that spot and do the same thing and carry on what he's doing, and he'll be ready to go when his number gets called again. I think if two kids decide that they're going to fight and square off, then you let them have at it. Very rarely do you see somebody getting seriously injured, despite what many people who don't like fighting might say. And I think it's a big part, and I think it's a big part of playoff hockey, and it changes games. There's no way that the Chatham bench didn't get jazzed up by that fight.
For sure.
There's just no way, right? And the same with our guys and the crowd, right? The crowd loves it. There's no one turning their head. Everyone's yelling and screaming and standing there, sitting on the edge of their seat, and they want to see. It's not the old days where you have line brawls anymore. I mean, I guess we had one.
Unless you're in Pelham.
I was going to say, unless you had one. I heard there was one in Pelham in the Cambridge game, but that's very rare as well. So I think it's a big part of the game, and I think it still keeps the players honest. I think we've got a lot away from a lot of that, getting away from the half visors in this league. Like, I remember coaching in this league with the half visors, and guys who weren't tough didn't do half the stuff they did now, right? But that's just the way it's gone. So when there is two guys willing to drop the gloves and go at it and work away to try and get someone's helmet off, I say let them go.
Also, what have you seen with the Warriors and the Maroons matchup?
Well, I thought that the early goals just took the wind right out of the sails of the Maroons in Game 4. At the end of the day, Chatham needs saves. They need saves. When you get down 2-0 that early in a game, it just seemed to really deflate the team, and they looked a little bit lost. It turned into an individual effort festival coming over the blue line. Listen, the way Stratford plays the game, you are not going to walk in 1-on-5 and walk through that team. That's just not how they're made. And so it requires a good breakout. It requires smart passes. And sometimes it requires you to just dump the puck in and go get it. And there just didn't seem to be any willingness to do that once Chatham went down 2-0. I could see how they'd be upset. The first goal was a wrist shot from the blue line. It may or may not have hit a stick on the way in. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, they look completely out of sorts. They look confounded by the ability of what Stratford has done. And I think I pointed this out on previous shows, where Stratford, by and large, will play that, whatever you want to call it, trap or left wing lock or clogging up the middle or whatever they do. But one thing that they do that a lot of people aren't picking up on, snap the fingers when they see an opportunity to go in and forecheck. They'll go 2, sometimes even 3 guys low. And that's what turned Game 7 against London in the second period. They started that forecheck, and they were all over London's D, caused 100 turnovers, and they put that game out of reach in the second period. And so you have to be well coached and really sharp to be able to manage that. They're not, but to give up 7 goals to Stratford, I mean, Quinn Kipfer, goals aside, this is maybe the best I've ever seen him play hockey. He was the one that was out there at the end of the second period when it was 5-on-3, taking the face off and killing those penalties off. And so Kipfer is the one that really impressed me the other night. And not just because of the goals either, because he was really good in all three zones, and he looks like that kid that's got a full scholarship to a U.S. school. And so, kudos to them. I'm man enough to tell everybody that, I whiffed on this one. Somebody came up to me in the barn in the middle of the game and said, well, you got this one wrong, didn't you? And I said, well, actually, it might end up in 5, like I said it would.
Just the wrong team, possibly.
But, like Stratford just seems to be the way I kind of simplified it. I was on the intermission with Les and the general there, and they asked me about it. And I said, it just seems to me like Stratford is Chatham's kryptonite. There's teams that for whatever reason, you look at the numbers on paper, but it doesn't matter. They just seem to have your number. And Stratford has played this team so tough over the last couple of years. And, if you watch Chatham play other teams, you go, wow, this team's amazing. If you only watch them play Stratford, you would say, what's all the fuss about? But we've seen it forever in all kinds of sports where there are just teams that have other teams' number. And that seems to be the case right now. It helps the fact that Stratford forwards are playing the best hockey I've seen them play. I've seen them play about 8 or 9 times this year. And they're playing their best hockey at the right time. And there's a reason. And we should give that shout out to Coach Dave Williams, Coach of the Year in the Western Conference. And there's a reason when you don't have a guy in the top 50, a guy still gets 30 wins, and a guy still is this team 1 win away from the conference final. So a shout out to the Stratford coaching staff who have done an amazing job preparing them for such a big challenge to take on Chatham.
Well said, Halser. And, I think that goes to, maybe it was like a November or December chat we had. And, I remember talking about how deep I think we are, and I think like there's nobody special. And, a lot of guys that we thought were going to have much bigger offensive years didn't have them. Right. And, but I think now we're seeing, for the last, I would say the last half of the year, I thought we played really solid each night, and we weren't getting the results. But I thought, I remember talking on this podcast quite often about, I think we're playing the right way though. Like I like how we play. I'm not overly concerned. I think the goals will come at some point. And to your point about Kip, like last year, I thought he made so many huge strides getting to the Chatham series, and he was one of the best, if not the best, in the whole series. I thought he was really good. And I think Friday night there, he was, the best I've seen him this year as well. So great point picking up on that. He was really, really good. So hope to see the same from him and the rest of the crew tonight. Another solid game. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't have the same type of effort on our side. And that's going to be one angry group of Maroons ready to go tonight down there. So I think, if we can weather the storm and keep the game tight down in Chatham again tonight, and then, the game will even out and we'll start playing like we have played the majority of the games here. But, we got to keep it close early and do our thing and just worry about our game. And then, we'll see how it happens.
There's one other guy I just want to do a quick, since I'm talking about Stratford, there's one other kid that I wanted to talk about, and that's Lucas Menard. I don't know exactly what his stats are, but I've been watching them play some games. I thought he was maybe even though they lost game 6 in London when I was down there watching that game, I thought he was their best forward. I kind of look at the game a little differently than some people. I'm not looking at results, goals, and assists. I'm looking at what you do without the puck, what you do with the puck in your own end. And I like the fact that he's willing to take a hit to make a play. He took a couple of big hits to get the puck out of his own zone with those D coming down the wall. It's a nerve-wracking situation for a winger. He's shown a lot of heart, a lot of character, and a lot of sandpaper. He's not the biggest guy, but he plays big. And so I just want to take this opportunity to give Lucas Menard a shout out as well.
Great pickup, and very durable guy for his size, and feisty, and he's super slick with the puck. Like you just watch him skill-wise, some of the things he does. Yeah, real good. I mean, we can go. I could go for sure up and down our entire lineup with our guys, because each guy I think is real special and brings something to us each and every night. So real happy with the group, and we'll keep going on here.
The one thing that, there's a few things that I'll touch on, but one of the first things that I've noticed in this series that's different from London is that the line that was carrying you guys, Clarkie, against London was Galbraith, Marshall, and Murphy. And now all of a sudden, Kipfer, Ferguson, all the guys that Schmidt, all the guys that we thought would be guns ablazing in the first series and were rather quiet, they're the ones stepping up right now against Chatham when the lights are bright. And so shout out to those guys for stepping up and taking a bit of the heat off of Galbraith, Marshall, and Murphy. The other thing I wanted to give a shout out was Schmidt's huge goal there in game 3 to tie it up at 18-12 of the third, to send it to overtime so that Brownie could win it for you guys, put you up 2-1 coming home there Thursday night. And then in game 4, it was the Quinn Kipfer show. But I want people to know, like, just on paper, it looks like Greeny's goal was a bad goal. And yes, de Blasi would love to have that back. Green steps over the blue line. It was Doc Stater's stick, Halser, that you had alluded to. I don't know if it redirected, but Doc Stater's stick was in the way. Where did he put it? A foot off the ice, blocker side,
right where you've been preaching. Yeah, it's just
right. And so it looks bad on paper.
I
but
can hear Don Cherry, right? Remember Don Cherry used to scream about that for years and years. Get your stick out of the way and let your goalie make a save.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously de Blasi would love to have that one back. But what that did a minute into the game is now all of a sudden you've got the crowd into it. You've got him, going, oh my God, I just let a goal into the game. And then Kipfer, before his second goal, I was yelling, shoot it. He had a chance to use the D as a screen and shoot it, and he didn't. He tried to make another play, but he was lucky that he got the puck back that same shift, and then he made no mistake the second time, and he used the D as a screen, and then that sent de Blasi to the showers like 8 minutes into the game when he pulled the trigger from the top of the circle. But these guys are just firing right now, and like we've said, the series is far from over. You brought up a good point, Clarkie, about you guys were up 3-1 against London. And so you're up against the best offensive team statistically in the league. And you guys just have to go down there and close her out tonight. But yeah, shout out to Willie, coach of the year, for doing an amazing job with guys that are all buying into the system. Nobody's looking for being a superstar. Everyone's willing to put their body on the line, and it's just refreshing to see a bunch of teenagers pulling and rowing all in the same direction. So
yeah, that they are, and I'm really hopeful that we learned that lesson in round 1. Right, being up 3-1 and now having an opportunity here again to 3 shots to try and get a win. So hopefully that was a good learning curve for our group, and see what happens.
Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, you guys got your hands full tonight. Game 5 down in Chatham, 7 p.m. start, and we look forward to hearing from you and hopefully get a W, but if it doesn't go your way, it's game 6 Monday night, and then game 7 would be Thursday, I believe, down in Chatham. But hopefully we're not having that conversation. So.
Yeah, the series of back-to-backs. Yeah, Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. So, yeah, if not tonight, we'll be back at the Almond and hopefully get a good crowd in there tomorrow night and see what we can do there. It's time, boys. It's time.
It's time for the mailbag.
It's time for the mailbag. You're right. And
it.
Special thanks last week, obviously, to our friends at Mother's Pizza for sponsoring week 1.
Yeah, they were very welcoming when we went out for a few beers afterwards, and a nice pizza on a big chandelier tray.
Oh yeah. There's no place better, and like they like to say, for the love of pizza, Mother's Pizza.
Exactly.
Thanks again to the crew out there. However, we do have a new sponsor, and the mailbag has taken off. It's been a busy week, and almost as busy as Jay Mysterio's guest appearance schedule, but it's been quite the week. However, we do have a new sponsor this week, and this week our sponsor is from our friends at the Pickwick restaurant, located in the heart of the city on Wellington. So thanks to our friends at the Pickwick, and we hope we do you proud in your sponsorship this week. So, and we actually have a ton of questions here, boys. So I'll hit up you two guys, and for the other guys that jump on, I got a question for them too. if they want to answer. But Halser, you're up first here to this week again. And Mark Taylor, diehard Flyers fan, he faxed into the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast head office.
Faxed it in, did he?
Faxed it in,
Head office.
Because we are at the cutting edge of technology.
Yes. Bit of an old dog, but we still like the fax machine right by the water cooler, and we can have our afternoon chats there. So as we're playing the week. So Mark Taylor wants to know about your Flyers. He wants to know if there's enough runway left in the season for them to catch Montreal or Ottawa for the last wild card. And if they do, is the team poised and ready to make a little noise here in the playoffs? It's been a while since they've been there.
Well, I think the answers are yes and yes, absolutely. The way they've been playing recently, winning some hockey games, beat the Islanders the other night. Goaltender Bernie Perrant has been shining. He's been just playing fantastic. And, of course, the Legion of Doom is scoring goals at a record rate. Nobody seems to be able to slow them down. The only thing we're worried about now is Ed Van Impe. We're worried after that big hit on the Russian fella if he might end up getting suspended for the first round of the playoffs, because that'll be a big loss for the team. So, but Captain Moose DuPont thinks that we're going to be just fine in the playoffs with or without Van Impe. And we just know the fans at the Spectrum are going to go crazy once Kate Smith sings God Bless America.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. And, that lineup is so deep, right? From Eddie Van Impe to Eric Lindros, deep
Yep.
group.
The Legion of Boom is ready to roll.
Yeah.
Johnny Leclerc, one of my favorite players. I was in the barn when he scored his 400th goal when they were playing against Florida Panthers, that new expansion team that just came out. So, yeah, with this deep tradition in Philadelphia, we believe that those rabid Pennsylvania fans are going to help carry us deep into the playoffs. So I think they're playing Toronto in the first round. Wait, no, I guess not, eh?
Oh,
not this
again.
year.
Yeah, not again. Yeah. I think I saw Toronto on the Muni tee sheet for opening day. So sorry, Leaf fans. We'll get back to you in September.
Good news is Matthews is paying for it.
Yeah.
Well,
that's right.
You've even got the LA Kings zinging the Leafs. I don't know if you guys saw that. After the Kings won 7-6 in overtime, they posted on their Twitter account a score where it said Toronto 6, LA 7. It said, isn't that the last time the Leafs won the Stanley Cup? Like they were just zinging them.
Yeah.
6-7.
It just writes itself, right? Like it just writes itself. Stuff. And once again, the internet is undefeated. Right? Like it's just so unreal. Anyways, moving on through the mailbag. Thank you very much for the insight, Halser. Razor, we'll jump to you next since you're live and in color here. So Saturday afternoon, I ran into Brent Zimmerman at the Limelight.
Oh, geez.
So Zimmy's sitting at the bar at the Limelight, and he's just ripping through a stack of Nevada tickets. And he's got in front of him his NHL playoff bracket. So he's working on that, but he wants to know from you, head of the podcast here, of the 4 division leaders, Colorado, Carolina, Tampa Bay, and Edmonton, which of those 4 are real contenders this year? Who maybe is a pretender? And he's looking for some insight on how to fill out his bracket.
Well, I think all the teams that you mentioned, except Edmonton, like I really don't see Edmonton doing well this year. They have the greatest player in the game playing for their team, but they thought they were upgrading, getting rid of Stu Skinner and bringing in Jerry, and it's actually been a downgrade. And so I really don't see, even if the Oilers make the playoffs, which right now they're leading the Pacific, I see an early exit for them. So Zimmy, while you're pulling all those Nevada tickets and doing your pro line trifectas, buddy, don't put too much salt on the Edmonton Oilers. The Avalanche, the Stars, what was the other one you had mentioned, Clarko?
Carolina and Tampa.
Carolina, solid. They're leading the Metropolitan. The Lightning, they're just, in my opinion, the best coach team in the league. And, you've got all the Stanley Cup championships to prove that. So all of those teams, they're a lock, Zimmy. Stay away from the Edmonton Oilers because they're going to break your heart this year.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And oddly enough, I was there for 2 hours. Jimmy was getting another pint at the bar when I left. So I hope
Shocking.
he had a
Shocking.
great Saturday. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
That's
the way you were
perfect.
talking, Halser, I thought we were in the 80s there for a while. So late 80s, early 90s.
That's what I do, man.
Very rare to see all these cats live and in color.
Everybody's in for the
Right?
mailbag, Clarko.
That's good. That's good.
Right.
Well, I need you all in here because I can't keep up with all the tweets, the texts, the Snapchats,
The
The
faxes.
faxes.
the fax machine. Yeah, wakes me up at 3:00 in the morning. Someone on the other
Right.
side of the world ripping a fax over to the head office. You know,
Printed it out on his printer. Bzzzt, bzzzt.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Waiting for the internet to connect. My God, it's crazy. Anyways,
Get off the phone. I'm on the internet.
yeah, that's right. That's right. And then when Rhett, when he's on the party line, you know, we're hearing everybody talk all the time. Everyone's got to
That's
get off
right.
that phone. You're hearing your neighbor talk. Jesus Christ. However, we'll get her done. Okay, boys. Graffy, we'll go to you
Yes,
next.
ma'am.
Chris
Okay.
Sedaris, you know,
Sedaris.
former Stratfordite, head of SIDS, treated us all very well in the 90s, probably too well. He reached out to us on Facebook, and he wants to hear the Unmuzzled group talk about his Montreal Canadiens. He's quite happy with the rebuild, but he wants to know, is the rebuild complete? You know, they're in a good spot right now in the playoffs. Is it over? Do they still have more work to do, or are they legit and they can do some damage here in the playoffs?
Yeah, I think they are legit, but I think there's more to do. I mean, I think they've done a heck of a job rebuilding, right? I mean, there's different ways you can build a team. Toronto was forced into building a team by adding pieces because you got the big guys, you got Matthews, you got the big four they had until they traded Marner, but not going to build through the draft. They got no cash to spend either, whereas Montreal could build through the draft. They had lots of money, and you know, you look at it now, and you run through the top five in scoring: Suzuki, Caulfield, the young D, Hudson, Slavakovsky, I probably said that wrong, Demidov. I mean, they're all 60-plus points, two of them in the 90s, 85 and 95, I guess. But they also have the luxury of cash and still adding. So I think, yeah, they can make some noise. I think they're fifth overall in the league, 100 points now maybe. Going to be in that 2-3 probably with Buffalo or Tampa in that division, I would think. Mind you, they're only two back at Tampa, so who knows? They could still win the division. But yeah, I think they've done a heck of a job rebuilding. St. Louis doing a great job, I think. The consensus is with the young group. I know he was kind of on hot water maybe his first couple years with them, but he's kind of solidified his spot coaching, and Hughes has done a good job building it. I think they can still add some more pieces. So yeah, great job there by the Habs, and 22 points ahead of the Leafs. Our two big Canadian cities are at very different spots right now. So good for the Habs. Well done.
Excellent. Thank you. And you know what, to Halser's point about the depth of the Flyers there earlier, you know, looking at the playoffs, the Canadians, they still got John Kordick, right?
Right.
You know, he keeps everybody honest over there in the East. So no one's going to fool around.
Hey, someone's got to protect Pierre Mondu, right? So
That's right. That's right. That's right. So they got that toughness. They'll be fine. But for chess, Jamie Antonio, Twigs, he reached out once, you know, the greatest host of all time, hosting the March Madness parties at his house in the mansion on Oak Road there in Stratford. However, he's gotten a little older and slowed down a bit, and I don't know that the March Madness week-long parties are going on at Twig's place anymore, but who knows? But he wants to know about the NCAA tournament. Since we're down to the, you know, the final night, and you're the big basketball guy here on the chat, he wants to know, you know, how great is this tournament? And can you speak a little bit about this year's as well? And, you know, does the NCAA at basketball here really have it right? And should other sports look at this style of tournament of getting to a champion, right? It's a kind of one or done thing, but he wants to know, you know, do they have it right? Is there enough excitement around it? And should other sports look at doing the same?
Well, that's good at Twigs. Definitely, we got some great memories of those parties back 15, 20 years ago. My goodness, they would go on for that first weekend was a hill to climb, I'll tell you that. But I think they do have it right. I love the tournament from start to finish. You know, it's ruthless. You know, I don't care how good you were all year. You gotta have the game of your life if you want to move on, and you got to keep doing that. And it's heartbreaking for a lot of people, a lot of teams, and I think that's what makes it so dramatic and so good, and that's why I think it's a great tournament. You know, you got your powerhouse teams every year that are always in the mix, and what's more entertaining than watching them lose to a 15 seed, 14 seeds, and that's what makes the tournament what it is. And I would never change it. I don't think they ever would. I'm not overly thrilled that they've added some extra play-in games over the last couple seasons. That being said, some of those teams have gone on for a nice little run too. So basketball, it's a game of runs. It always has been. And if you can get hot, you can go a long time, right? And that's what I think it's so entertaining. And as far as other sports, I don't know if they can ever, try and emulate the same type of tournament. It's pretty hard to do. But I think it just works out great for basketball, and I still think college basketball is one of the greatest sports to watch. I can't watch professional basketball. NBA basketball to me is absolutely awful to watch on the last 10, 15 years. Thank you, LeBron. But yeah, I'll watch college basketball any day, boys. So great question, Twigs, and really enjoyed his personal bartending last night. How did Downham end up at the PRC beside me as my personal bartender last night, Razor? I thought he was your bartender.
Well, he is on Friday nights at the Almond, but it was his night off, so he wanted to come and help you out in the best way possible.
He helped me out all right. Clark,
you
I just wanted to say good luck to you tonight, buddy.
Oh, thank you very, very much. We appreciate it. And hopefully we can get it done here in the next week. That would be great.
Close, boys.
Yeah.
We're this close.
Okay, thanks, Chess. Great insight there again on the tournament. And it would be interesting to get some hockey teams to travel to one area and know if they're one and done. It would be very ugly, but I think there's a lot of interest in that March Madness for even people that aren't traditional basketball fans. So that comes around once a year. It's always great to see the stories and to see the upsets. So, I think they do have it right. So thanks for that. And Twigs, if you could host another 3 or 4 day party, everyone's interested.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll be there first in line.
The last question we have selected for this week for the mailbag is for Rhett. And I believe Rhett is a big wrestling fan. WrestleMania is on the horizon here. Maybe a bigger wrestling fan is one of Stratford's finest, Chris Gaylor. So earlier this week, I ran into Gales at a hot yoga class. And he was asking me if I'd ask,
you taught yoga.
If I'd ask Rhett. Yeah, it's one of my side gigs, Halser. Not too many people know about it, but every Tuesday and Thursday I slip on the Lulus and
Clarky just loves wearing the tights, man.
Yeah, yeah,
love it.
Yeah. It's quite the sight, but hey, you got to stay limber, right? Motion is the lotion, boys. So for Rhetster, Gales wants to know about the 2 big championship matches. He wants to know who Rhett is taking. So in the first match, we have the OTC Roman Reigns fighting the best in the world, CM Punk. So he wants to know who's taking the belt there in that one. And then in the next match on the next night, the other championship, we have the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, taking on an old school guy that probably everybody here knows is back and looking as juiced up as ever, the Viper, Randy Orton. So, Rhett, if you can sink some teeth into those 2 matches, let Gales know, because he's going to have the big screen going while he's doing curls at the fire hall for WrestleMania next weekend. He's on duty for all 24 hours. He wants to know. So, Rhett, if you could hook him up, that would be great and satisfy another one of our super fans here at the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast. So,
is it true that Gales has a rule of no campfires during WrestleMania?
Yes, 100%.
Because he doesn't want to be interrupted.
Yeah, no campfires, no cooking. They want all skip the dishes that weekend, right? They want no interruptions with 8 hours straight of wrestling on 2 days for WrestleMania.
Love it.
I'll give that one to Rhett. And you know what? Thanks again to all our listeners and all our fans. Keep them coming.
Yes.
It's fantastic to run into everybody in town, and the questions that you're you're giving me, whether it's at a local establishment or at a fitness class. It's great to see you all, and keep them coming on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and the fax is still going at the head office. So if you're that inclined, fire one through.
Oh, love it. Yeah, just adding to that, we had great talks there Friday night at the Alman Arena of guys howling at the reels and questions that are coming in. So like Clarky said, keep them coming, folks. And shout out to Dano, Booner, and Founce. They all came up to me on Friday night. Just super happy that we actually did take their questions and post them on the show. So shout out to all three of those fine gentlemen.
One thing I forgot to mention, Dan Dunsmore, grateful that he got his question in on Instagram. He said he got 100 new followers this week.
That's 106 now, right?
Yep. He wants to get to 110.
Dad,
Hey,
I love it.
Clarko,
Yes.
I gotta throw in a story about, you brought up campfires. But
Yeah.
and Clarky was probably here for this about 15 years ago. We're over at Hotsy's might have been 20 years ago, over on Hotsy's on Windermere on May 2-4. And it's a little chilly May 2-4. So he brings this pit, I don't even know what it was, throws it right in the middle of the wood back deck, 5 feet from the back of the house, and starts this big campfire. Right? Fireman Gaylor comes walking around the corner and just stops in his tracks.
He almost had a heart attack.
Speaking of campfires, right?
Yeah. What are you guys doing? Oh, we're standing around a campfire drinking a Miller Lite 5 feet from the patio doors.
Right.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
Yeah, for sure.
All
Awesome.
right, Clarky.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again for the Pickwick mailbag this week.
Yeah.
So can't
Special
wait.
thanks to our friends at the Pickwick. We love you. We'll be down for a snack later. And thanks for looking out for us at the Unmuzzled Sports Podcast.
And when you're finished your meal at the Pickwick, you can just go next door and buy a pair of shoes at Smythe's.
That's right.
That's right.
One-stop shop.
Some penny loafers. Yeah.
Perfect stuff. Thanks, boys.
All right.
See you, dude.
Jason Clark, Director of Hockey Operations with the Stratford Warriors. We'll hear from our sponsors with Chester's Perch, and we'll be right back with Chris Chessel.
You can't put a price on a good time. Chester's Perch, the Lincoln's Report, brought to you by the Boathouse Stratford, located at 30 York Street. Come see us down at the Avon River for pedal boats, kayaks, canoes, Juliet boat tours, and bike rentals. Enjoy great food and ice cream at the Riverside Patio Restaurant. Pet friendly and operated by the Herr family since 1965.
Chester's in the house. How are you, brother?
Come on, boys.
Yeah.
Good to see us.
Well, we got, as Halser said, we got a little off the rails there, but always fun with the mailbag, the new segment that Clarky has brought in. So we gotta love it. Maybe we can have St. Mary's version of it. I'm sure there's a lot of St. Mary's people that have questions for our podcast. So,
Oh, there's probably a few. Yeah.
yeah. So, my goodness, you guys had a chance to close it out last night. You're up 3-0 on the Elmira Sugar Kings, and it only went to overtime. So, it's tough, hard-fought series. And kind of take us through. It's been a week since we've last talked about it. We've got 4 games to talk about, but what have you seen so far this series?
Yeah, we won't go all the way back here, but one consistent thing that I've seen throughout this series is both teams' goaltending has just been absolutely fantastic. The speed of the game and the talent on both these teams has been on show for sure. We can go back to game 1. I thought the Lincolns had a really strong game 1, and they had a really strong game 2 as well, where I thought they really, proved a pretty good point that they could play 60 minutes at a high pace, and I think they gave Elmira fits for large portions of those games. The thing about Elmira is when they get the puck on their sticks and they get into our offensive zone, you just have that feeling every time. Their top line right now, Gerber and Maury, and then there's a couple different guys they mix in, but Warlow's there.
Brunton.
Yeah, and those guys, when they get in the offensive zone, my goodness, it looks like they're going to score every time. So, the first two games, I thought the Lincolns played great. Colby was fantastic. And then we got into game 3 there down in Elmira Thursday night. And what a spectacular game. 1-0 score in overtime. The Lincolns got a typical overtime goal. Just throw the puck on net. Hopefully it bangs off someone's ass and goes in, right? Mm-hmm. After multiple chances, Elmira had multiple chances in that game, and Colby Boothhouse probably played his greatest game I've seen in 3 years. He's had some dandies, but that one there was probably top of the list. He was just berated with 2-on-1s, penalties or breakaways, some great one-time opportunities that Elmira had, and he was just flopping around like Mike Palmatier in the net there, and it was quite entertaining. He was just fantastic. And on the other end of the ice, Liam Reed too. All right, like he's just been so solid and steady. Same thing with him, right? The Lynx had some great chances in that game, and he stood on his head as well. And in the overtime, it was all Elmira. Elmira just kept coming shift after shift after shift, and they were running that top line every other line. They're only running 2 lines that whole overtime, and I'll give the Lynx a lot of credit. Their defensive skills and their defensive play has been able to keep this series where it is. I mean, this could easily be a 2-2 series, or it could be the other way, 3-1 for Elmira as well, just as often and just as much as it's 3-1 for us, because both teams are so close. And we got a better look at that last night. Game 4 last night at the PRC, right? 1,255 people there. Saturday night, the place was buzzing right from the start. And, I don't think without that really quick goal from Elmira, I think that game probably would have went a different way. It was 17 seconds in or whatever it was. Right off the face-off, the puck went in behind our net. Our defenseman kind of got baffled up a bit. There was a pretty good hook there for Elmira to get the puck, but I don't think the ref wanted to blow his whistle that early. And unfortunately, I don't think Kobe was quite ready. Wasn't against his post, and the guy just kind of threw it at the net and went in. And you know what? Those things happen, and you certainly can't fault Kobe for the way he's played. Just been so good. Every once in a while, you just get fooled on something like that. But after that, the rest of that period was all Lincolns all the time. I mean, my head was turned to the right where I stand. My head was turned to the right for 95% of the rest of that period. Everybody in my section, and I had some special guests there, like I mentioned, Downham and Twigs were there, and we were all mentioning how our heads were sore on the right side. Just the play was down in Elmira's end the whole time. We just couldn't get a couple goals there that we needed. We got the goal back to tie it, of course, and everything was great, but just a great period. And then Elmira, like they've done all series, they've responded. Like anytime we've had a really strong period, Elmira has come right back out and had a strong period themselves. And that's what we expected. We talked about that before the series started, that it's just going to go back and forth, push here, pull there. That's exactly what we saw last night. Elmira came on the second and put it to us a little bit, right? And then, and then I third went right back to, I thought it was all Lincolns all the time in the third again. Just consistent forecheck, causing turnovers. There's a few times where I thought we should have shot the puck a bit more. We had some opportunities, and that's nothing new. We've had that issue at times this year where we should probably shoot a bit more. But all in all, I was really happy with the way the guys played. I think we were down 3-1 at one point, right? 3-1, I think, halfway through the second. And I never felt we were out of the game. I never felt for one shift that, this isn't going to end well. I never thought that. I thought even all the people around us were like, this game's far from over, right? Like you could just have that feeling, the way the Lynx were playing, that they're going to get a couple more here. This isn't over. And that's what they did. And they were able to tie it up. Beautiful goal by Lincoln Moore. what was it? Yeah, about a minute left in the game. 19:08 into the third.
Yep.
One of classic Lincoln Moore's laser shots, and he
On
fouled
the
back of
power
net.
play.
Yeah. So it was good to see.
It was nice to see him too. He went by the bench and he was like taking that monkey off his back, and because
Yeah.
he hadn't, that was his first goal of the series, but you can only hold good ones down for so long. We knew it was going to happen, and it couldn't have come at a better time for you guys.
Yeah, that's right. And and I think you could feel the vibe in the arena. I thought most people were feeling pretty good going into overtime. And Elmira had a great overtime as well. We didn't get a shot in overtime. It was over, I think, 4.5 minutes in. Brett Warlow scored a beauty, but it's just they haven't beat us in regulation, right? So St. Mary's can be confident, not be too stressed out about a loss here. We knew it wasn't going to be easy. I don't think anybody would have expected a 4-game sweep. So if you can get that opportunity, great. It's great if you can take it, but end of the day, there's still some work to do here. And, I think for Elmira, it gives them something to get out of bed for today and go play their butts off like they did yesterday. Their backs were against the wall yesterday, and they responded pretty well. And now they get to go home. They slept in their own beds last night, and we'll see what comes up tonight. But I think the Lincolns are hungry here to get this over with. I don't think they're too discouraged over anything that happened last night. I think there was. I mentioned the first goal they scored. There was another goal too on a wraparound that probably Colby would like back. And hey, you're going to motivate a guy like Colby. See what we get out of him tonight. So, all in all, really good series. Both goalies just fantastic. Reed's rolling at about a .935 save percentage. Colby's at a .951 save percentage.
Crazy.
Both teams struggling on the power play, but I'll give both teams credit for their penalty kill. I'm not going to be so hard on their power plays. I think it's all about the other side. It's the defensive side of that. The penalty kill for both teams has been great. Lincolns are 2 for 12 on the power play. Kings are 2 for 15. So credit to those guys who are out there. The Vortmans, the Hodgkinsons, the Lackos, and on the other side. I can't even bring up all their names, but they're all just playing so hard, and kudos to them for that. So yeah, tonight, game 5, right? So
Yeah.
And then I think we're back at it Tuesday, Thursday next week, possibly. So
well, you guys are in a situation like Stratford where you're up 3-1 going into the other team's barn. And you guys obviously want to close it out. You don't want to flirt with disaster and give them any hope. But Halser, will ask your opinion. You've been following the Lincolns and the Sugar Kings all season long. You've got the matchup that you wanted. You've been talking to both coaches. What have you seen so far this series?
Well, I'll focus on game 3. I was at game 4 the other night in Stratford, and yet everybody I talked to didn't want to talk about that game. They wanted to ask me about game 3 in Elmira, and that was, and I have to help Chess out because of the what a lot of people don't know is that he's banned from road games because the Lincolns have never scored when he's been in the barn on the road. So so to help Chess out, for someone who is actually allowed to go to those road games, I have rarely been through a game that was that tense. It actually, when they had the 1-0 game against Strathroy in round 1, but that was a different animal altogether. That was the Lincolns throwing 45, 50 shots at Seth Ronan and him just standing on his head. And you always felt like at some point in time, the Lincolns were going to break the seal and get through and score a few, but they never did. This game 3 was much different. It reminded me of the atmosphere when we go way back to that famous Chatham Stratford game 7, the famous goal. And every time somebody touched the puck and went the other way with speed, you could feel the collective holding their breath in the rink. The game was so tense, and that's something you don't generally see at this level, where people were that mentally and emotionally engaged in the game. And so the goal was actually a shock. I was standing beside St. Mary's team president, Brandon Bean, and there were three of us standing there, Lincoln's fans. The puck went in, and I saw it, and I couldn't believe it went in because Hodgkinson just sort of fronted the puck from the corner, just a desperation shot, and then next thing you know, you can just see a deflection, and it's in the net, and it was just shocked that the game was over, and everybody, there was hardly any reaction at all to the goal because everybody was, as much relieved that the game was over. I mean, everybody slept well that night. Just that's why I asked for this. That's why I begged for this matchup. That game was what I envisioned. And then last night was the same thing because every time it seems like, and Chess, you can speak to this if you like, every time we watch these two teams, one team pushes hard and the other team just hangs on by its fingernails. And then within 3 or 4 minutes, boom, it's back the other way. And then this was the case. Period one, the shots were, I think, 19-6 and nothing. And you're just saying to yourself, how do we not have a goal? We talked to Corey McRae pre-game, and he said those two magic words, puck luck. And let's face it, Elmira has been getting zero puck luck in the first 3 games. They got a little bit there, not necessarily on the goal on Colby that started the game, but there were 2 or 3 plays right in front of the net on Reed where Hodgkinson caused, surprise, Hodgkinson causes another turnover deep in the zone, feeds it to Elzinga standing out in front of the net all alone, takes a shot, save, rebound, bang off the crossbar. I mean, they should have had 2 or 3 in the first, but, great goaltending at one end. And then you get into the second period, and St. Mary's has had on occasion this flu that they have in the second period. And I don't know if it's a long change or whatever, but there were 2 or 3 times where there were one-handed clearing attempts, just soft plays that you never see. And Elmira is too good to be playing like that. And they were all over them. And I thought that St. Mary's was lucky not to be down 4 or 5-1 at one point. But then again, 10 minutes into the period, they turned it around. The Lincolns were all over them for the last 10 minutes of that game. So
that's right.
And, it was one-way traffic for 10 minutes in either direction in that second period. I thought that was a microcosm of exactly the kind of matchup that I was expecting for this series. And it didn't surprise me that they scored in overtime because, again, they've been getting no puck luck. They got some last night, and that's how close this series is, that, a little bit of puck luck is going to change it. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're back in the PRC on Tuesday for Game 6.
Halser, your comment about the game going in waves. In Game 1, Elmira outshoots St. Mary's 24-15 in the second period. No goals. Booth Houseco was absolutely a brick wall. And then, like you had mentioned last night, St. Mary's outshoots Elmira 19-6 in the first period, and they're down 1-0. And so it is just amazing how these guys are playing high octane. Like Kyle Morey, I haven't looked at his stats, but I think he's probably playing like half the game. Like, he is just unbelievable. I've never seen him up close the way that I am this series. And that guy is just magical. He reminds me of Warren Bullock, the way he's able to distribute the puck forehand and backhand. Bully was one of the best passers. Like, Emmer had it all. He had the speed, he had the shot, he had the passing, but Bully's hands were just impeccable. And that's what I see with Kyle Morey. He's just able to distribute the puck and just move it. And like when there's plays in both zones, he's able to just be able to, from experience, poke check without much of an effort. And guys think that they're going to get by him. And he's able to poke check the puck off of him when he's going on a one-on-one break and a guy has an angle on him. He'll just chip the puck over a stick and then go around the guy. He's not the fastest skater out on the ice, but my, oh my, he's like Gretzky quick, where he's never going to beat you in an end-to-end rush, but put a puck and put a whole bunch of obstacles in the way. And Kyle Morey is just dangerous as they come out there. So
yeah, to your point in Game 1 there, the nice thing about the Elmira rink is that they have the shot clock right on the scoreboard, and the shots at one point in the second period were 11-1 for Elmira. Face off in the Elmira end, get it back to Keene, and he shoots one from the point and bounces it in off the post. Yeah. Now the shots are 11-2, but St. Mary's has scored the only goal of the period thus far. So yeah, that's kind of the way the whole series is. And I was kind of torn last night in the fact that when you have an opportunity to beat a good team, you want your team to take advantage of that. But roadie to Elmira tonight, I can't wait to see Game 5 and see what these these young men have for us tonight, because all I know is I keep reminding myself of Gladiator, are you not entertained? And I surely have been thus far.
Yeah, it definitely has. Jess, what are your thoughts about tonight's game?
Yeah, I think you're just going to see another great game. I would think relatively low scoring, 3-2, 4-3, something like that. Good goaltending. It'll be interesting to see who comes out first and who comes to play in that first period, and then whether they can hold it for the 60 minutes. So it will be no shortage of entertainment for sure. Razor, you mentioned about Maury there. The one thing that I really noticed last night too is he's taking like 2-minute shifts. Like,
oh yeah,
he's not only out there every other shift. When he is out there, he's taking 2-minute shifts every time. They are riding him.
Yep.
Him and Gerber right until they can't anymore. So,
well, if you saw those last 8 minutes, the Lincolns went down to 2 lines last night. That was the big shock to me. It was, I don't think McQueen Spence was on the ice in the last 8 minutes of the game. It was the I got to give this line a nickname. They all wear 4s: 14 Vortman, 24 McCauley. I should shout out. I thought that was his best game last night. He was everywhere last night. And Moore, of course, 94. And then it's the Hodkinson line with Elzinga, who also played a fantastic game last night, and Colebrook, who always plays a fantastic game. And they went to those 2 lines, I think, for the last 7 or 8 minutes in the period. And you mentioned about mixing up those lines with Elmira. When Corey McRae thinks he needs a goal, he'll put Gerber up with Brunton and Maury.
Yeah.
But otherwise, he plays on a different line. They spread that scoring out. But when he really needs a goal, he'll load up those guys. And I noticed he did that in overtime last night. Loaded up the top line.
Oh, yeah, you got to give a shout out to Brett Warlow too. He had the first goal and the game-winning goal. So shout out to him for a great game as well. Their captain.
Your captain, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, Chess. Well, best of luck tonight over in Elmira, even though you're going to be like me watching it online. But hopefully you guys can bring her home. For selfish reasons, we've really grown fond, at least I have, talking to Corey McRae and his crew. Just a good group of guys. It's unfortunate that only one team can win, but I would definitely love to see a Stratford St. Mary's matchup. But all the best to both teams tonight, and may the best team win over in Elmira. So
good stuff. All right. Yep. We'll see what happens, boys, and fingers crossed that both these series can get wrapped up here soon, and we can focus on the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chess. Chris Chessel from Chester's Perch. We'll hear from our sponsor, and we'll be right back with Dave Graff and Chew on That.
Chew on That with Graffer. Brought to you by Work Pub and Eatery. Get a taste of tradition and charm in our family-run pub. From hearty dishes to cold drinks, we've got everything to make your visit memorable. Located at 75 Wellington Street, Stratford.
Yes, guy. Dave Graff is in the house with his Tigers hat. How are you, brother?
Love the Tigers. I love the Jays too, but love the Tigers. Love Comerica. Great.
Speaking of Comerica, I was talking with Camden Keen's parents there last night over at the PRC. Shout out to Mike and Jenny, good people. And they're just outside Detroit in Michigan. And he was telling me how Cam came home for the Tigers home opener, and they went over there. So with his business, he does wraps on different teams. So he's got ends with the Wings, the Tigers, the Lions, Michigan at the Big House. And so we had a great conversation, but most years he goes to opening day there at Comerica, and said year after year he goes there and freezes his butt off. But he said the one time Cam comes with him, it's 15, beautiful. Nice. And he's like, what are you talking about, Dad? Like, this is perfect weather for ball. And he's like, yeah, this isn't the way it always is. So
I think they've won the most dedicated parent award, because there have been at least 2 occasions I know where they have had to pull over on the 402 because they couldn't see where they were going because they were driving home after a game. They've had a nightmare of trying to get home after some of these games with the winter we went through. Yeah. So it's not just us Canadians that are tough in winter. Michiganders are pretty tough about it
Yeah,
as
for
well.
sure. And that 402 corridor, wow, it can
Yeah.
That's one of the worst stretches, right? So
can bury you. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. For
definitely. Well, what do you want to talk about this
Well,
weekend?
sure. I got looking there. I was watching golf last weekend. I put it on the chat there, and a guy named Gary Woodland won a PGA Tour event, which people win those every weekend. But there's a little bit of feel-good story to that one, and a huge comeback by him. And I'll get to that later. But I wanted to kind of focus. It made me kind of want to focus on kind of major health comebacks in sports. And we're in a playoff time, going to the playoffs in the NHL. The young kids in the G obviously are in the playoffs now, and you're always battling injuries. You're in and out of the lineup. You're coming back. But I'm thinking on a larger scale, and some of the major comebacks we've had in pro sports, and most sports fans out there will know these. But what I want to get to, the points I want to make at the end is, I'll make my points at the end that people can think about. But I just wanted to run through, in light of what we saw in the golf world last Sunday, kind of run through some of the major ones in sports. And I'll start by going back to the 70s and Tommy John. I mean, when he tore his ulnar collateral, his UCL in 74, he was the first one to have that ligament replacement surgery that obviously still today is known as Tommy John surgery. 2,500 MLB ball players have had it done since, or pro ball players, not necessarily MLB. And Tommy won the comeback player of the year in 76. He won 180 games after his surgery and played 14 more seasons. I mean, that's more than a career nowadays. There's no starter left winning 180 games unless maybe there's a few. You only pitch 5 innings nowadays, for crying out loud. So 180 wins in 14 seasons after his surgery. Magic Johnson, November 7th, 1991, announced that he was HIV positive. Obviously a very life-threatening type, not really an injury, but a life-threatening type disease, right? And he abruptly retired, only to come back and play in the All-Star game after Christmas and on the 92 Dream Team, and a little bit more with the Lakers beyond that. So he was able to come back from that. And then you flip over to football. Peyton Manning, 2011, lost the whole year. His arm, he was getting dead arm, and they found nerve damage and a herniated disc, and he had to have surgery. Missed a whole season, and Andrew Luck took over in Indy, and Peyton came back and played 4 more years and won a Super Bowl with Denver. So real good job by him. He was 13 years in Indy, I think, and won a Super Bowl there in 07. And then to be able to come back and play 4 more years through 2015, I believe, and win a Super Bowl with Denver. And the big one that I like in football, and Razor, I was at the Goo Goo Dolls last night, the concert there in London, and one of my buddies was there separately, and he's a huge Saint fan, and he was the 1969 SMHA starting goalie right behind you, Jeff Redfern. Yeah.
Oh,
Red.
Red.
Yeah, Red
Oh,
so
good stuff.
I was sitting behind the penalty box with my wife and daughter at the Canada Life, and he was straight across, kind of just off to the side of the players' benches, about 5 rows up, so we could kind of see each other, and we're texting. And anyways, he's a huge New Orleans Saint fan. Just as much as we like our sports teams, take it up that other 4 or 5 levels. Just loves the New Orleans Saints. And, Drew Brees in 2005 tore his 360-degree labrum tear, partial rotator cuff tear. I think his arm got stuck in a certain position at one time. His shoulder was so whatever. And he went to Miami, and before the ink could dry, they bailed and said, we don't think this guy's going to play again. Like all this surgery had to have and all this, we think this guy's done, right? He played in San Diego his first 4 or 5 years. And anyways, at the same time, Katrina's had rolled in, I guess, already to New Orleans, decimated New Orleans, as we all know, back in the big hurricane of August of 05, I believe it was. And when Miami bailed, New Orleans was the next stop. Sean Payton was coming in, or maybe he was already there, and they took the flyer on him. And he went on to lead the league in yards and touchdowns for 5 seasons. League leader like 4 or 5 times in those categories. Won the 2010 Super Bowl, ironically over Peyton Manning and the Colts. He had to have his surgery was a spinal fusion, and he missed basically that 2000 whatever season he missed. But again, another guy that came back from the dead, and these guys are Hall of Famers. I mean, surefire Hall of Famer. I think Breeze went in this year.
Going in. Going in. Yeah.
So, just great stories there. And then, you get into the last two I got here. We all know Mario Lemieux. He just, what a talent, what a guy, still owns the Penguins. He came down with the Hodgkin's lymphoma, I think in 93, and he was back by the playoffs and still led the league in scoring that year with 160 points.
Crazy.
These guys are superhuman to me. And this isn't a bum shoulder or a bum knee. This is a life-threatening disease.
Yeah.
We're not talking broken bones here, right? And to lead the league in scoring and come back and all the back problems he had beyond that, he played parts of another, 15 years and then retired once and came back. And, for these guys to they're just on a different level with their stick-to-itiveness and whatever you want to call it, right? Just, and they're making a lot of money. Of course, they want to get back and play. They want to make the money and be with the guy. Just a little background on Woodland. About 3 years ago, 2023, he started having a lot of like night terrors and different emotional anxiety and some seizures and stuff like that. So long story short, an MRI revealed that he had benign tumors on the part of the brain that affects that fear and anxiety trigger or per se, or your emotions kind of thing. So obviously he was having these issues because it couldn't help it because he had these tumors. So he actually had a baseball size incision cut into his head to go in and get as much of this out as they could. They couldn't get it all. So now fast forward, before he went to surgery, this guy was writing letters to it's on the Full Swing on that golf doc on Netflix. He's writing letter to his 3 kids and his wife because he doesn't know if he's coming out of surgery. And, to come all the way back, and he's still fighting PTSD.
PTSD.
Yeah, because of the what they couldn't get. So he still has that pressure and that part of the brain that still he has to take medication for now. Anyways, he won the 19 U.S. Open, and I think last Sunday was his first win since, but he's made it all the way back, and he won last Sunday. Anyways, point being, Woodland came all the way back, won last weekend, and I think there's a lot of messages to be taken about that for people to think on there. And, that is, he says in his interview that I couldn't get up there, but, he says in that how, never give up, always keep fighting. And he said, if there's people out there that see this and just keep fighting, never give up. There's always a way to beat stuff. I think the message is to stick with it and, just never give up. Hug a family member, be happy for what we got here, be happy for where we live, right? And, count every day, make every day worthwhile. And, you see these guys, I know it's sports, but again, we've had that talk. Sports is a big representation of life with
absolutely
with effort and attitude and how you go about things. And, good for these guys, the examples I went through and, for people out there, stick with it, never give up.
I think that's why so many people are drawn to sports, because it is a direct correlation to life. Sports are brutally unfair. Life is brutally unfair. And so I think that's why a lot of people resonate with sports and real life. And every day there's a new player that steps up so guys like, Woodland, it's just so great to see those comeback stories like that, where Lemieux, guys that you're not sure if they're going to be around. And so that's great.
Yeah. So.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you as always.
We'll see it out at the Almond whenever, whether it's game 6 or game 2. We'll see it at the Almond.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Graffer.
Dave Graff from Chew on That. We'll hear from some sponsors, and then we'll be back with Halzer and Schenker's coming back for final thoughts.
Brett's Roundup, sponsored by Deal Sports Group, specializing in custom teamwear, uniforms, and apparel such as hockey, baseball, soccer, volleyball, basketball, and more. Our online stores are used mainly as a fundraising platform. We create custom designs for clothing and hard goods. They're purchased through the DSG website and shipped to the team organizer. A 20% kickback is given to the association or individual team. We also sell promotional corporate apparel and hard goods and offer many different decoration options that include embroidery, DTF prints, sublimation, twill, leather patched, and a lot more. Railside Organics, Stratford's first and only Indigenous owned and operated organic dispensary, located at 29 Monteith Avenue, serving those in need with holistic remedies. Come say hi to Curly and his staff and see why everyone is recommending Railside Organics. Vreda Veld Painting, servicing Stratford and surrounding area, with over 20 years of experience to help you with all your painting and decorating needs, on time and on budget. Eisen Canada Inc. is a trusted automotive parts manufacturer located in Stratford, Ontario. As part of the global Eisen Group, the company produces precision components like door frames, sunroofs, touch sensor systems, and power back doors. Supplying leading automakers such as Toyota and Lexus, Eisen Canada is committed to quality, innovation, and excellence in manufacturing.
All right, Halser, we're start with you for final thoughts.
Well, I got some things to say about net pegs. And this was a big issue last year in St. Mary's. It was an issue that pretty much tore the rink apart when they were playing London, and the goaltender was knocking it off 6 times a period, and then got it turned around on him in the 7th game in the 3rd period when Nico Armelin knocked the net off the pegs 5 or 6 times in the 3rd period when St. Mary's had a lead, and consistently killed any kind of pressure that London was putting on. We had another occurrence of that on Saturday night in Fort Erie, where we had a goaltender who was knocking the net off fairly regularly. He knocked it off twice in about 8 or 10 seconds. And then Fort Erie was awarded a power play. And here's what I saw. I was watching the video of it too. The fans are going absolutely batshit crazy. An overamped announcer is, just completely losing his mind and overreacting to this. I'm sick of hearing about this. All right. Listen, it was a huge problem in St. Mary's last year. And you know what? Now it's not, because now there's pegs in there. Proper goaltending pegs. All year long, I've been to every game but 2. So I've been to almost 30 hockey games in that rink. Not a single person has gotten injured running into that net. The net never seems to come off anymore. And yet we're still talking about this. Don't bitch at the referees, okay? Don't bitch at the referees about the goalie knocking the net off. Bitch at your local city council or regional council or whoever's making the decision, and get the pegs put in your nets. Suddenly it's not a problem. Maybe once or twice all year long has the net come off in St. Mary's. And Razor, you were at almost every Stratford game too. They've got pegs. How many times the net come off in Stratford?
0.
Almost none, right?
Yeah.
So stop bitching about the referee, stop whining about it on broadcast, and get proper pegs put in your net. I'm sick of hearing about it. No more. I don't want to hear any more words about people knocking nets off when you're using things that should be used to hold a cob of corn to eat instead of holding a net in place.
Well, and the thing about a 2 Halser is that for people that don't know, like I worked at the rinks in Stratford for 30 years. In the concrete, when the ice is out, in the concrete, you have the sleeves where the pegs can be drawn. It's mandatory. So any rink in Ontario and probably the world has these sleeves. So they're there. These municipalities are just choosing, and it's not like as if it's lack of manpower. They've got 3 and 4 staff that are out on the ice every time that the Zamboni's out cleaning it. Open up your wallets, get a DeWalt drill with an 1 3/16. I forget what it is, and have the guy, drill the holes. Problem done. And
drill the hole out, put the peg in, and the net won't go anywhere, and this won't be a problem anymore. Next year, I want everybody, we're using our voice on this show to get everybody to go to your city councils and say, fix this problem now. It's the easiest fix in the world. And like I said, don't let any of them tell you, oh, we're worried about safety, because not a single player has been hurt in Stratford or St. Mary's with these pegs in.
Well said, my friend. We're going to pull in Schenker when he's available.
I got to double down on one thing.
Yep.
I have been to most of the rinks in the Western Conference and a few of the ones in the East. I'm going to call out 2 in particular, Elmira and St. Thomas. No Wi-Fi? There's no reception in a big steel barn. There's Wi-Fi, but you need a password in Elmira. There is no Wi-Fi in St. Thomas. Get some Wi-Fi in the rink so people can use their phones. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good because when we were in Galt, we were able to upload our interviews very easily. Stratford, you guys should improve it a little bit.
But at the end of the day, it's not just about Junior B. It's not just about guys like us who are trying to upload videos. You know, you deal with minor hockey where you've got younger siblings who are trying to pass the time while their brother or sister plays a game of hockey, and you know they can't get any Wi-Fi on their tech. So let's go, man. It costs you, the minimal cost is negligible at best. So let's get with the times. And even if us old farts are telling you to bring up your tech level, then really it's time to do something about that.
Absolutely. Shanker's back after a big 3-1 win. The champion, Shanker, tell us what happened.
We scored first to make it 1-0 after 2 periods, and the London scored to tie it, and then we got the winner with about 4 minutes left. So then hung on for dear life.
Oh, man.
That's awesome.
Well, that's great. Shout out to Carson Shank. That's amazing, brother.
Yeah.
It's fun being a champion. So,
Oh, yeah, they deserved it.
oh, that's awesome. All right. What are your final thoughts, Shanker?
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Tavistock GM Brent Lang and the Tavistock Braves. They're on to the conference final now after defeating Woodstock 4-3 in the Dowdy Championship there in Wednesday night in Woodstock. It was Woodstock's last game for the PJHL. Tavistock opened last night with a 5-0 win over Dundas. Blake Richard got the shutout, making 21 saves. So, folks, there's lots of exciting hockey in our area. Get out to Tavistock Wednesday night to support the Braves.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a lot going on, whether it's PJ, Geo. Yeah, we're just very spoiled right now. It's a great time to be a hockey fan. So, all right, buddy.
Good.
Awesome. Well, go and spray that champagne with all those 11-year-olds, or how old are they?
U13.
U13. Awesome.
Yeah, so, perfect.
Good stuff. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on and doing it. All right.
Thank you.
Ian Shank. Well, that brings us to a close, folks. That's the end of episode 27. For Ian Shank and Brian Hawley, I'm Gary Ray. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.